Today on Time About the Movies, look, I know the last 2 months worth of films have been rough. 2011 has not been off to the strongest start for what is probably one of the worst years in movies in my opinion, but I promise you this week will get better because we have 6 films and I know at least half of them are going to be good. We have Johnny Depp starring in the Best Animated Feature Oscar winner for 2011, Rango, Nickelodeon's only Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, by the way. We have Matt Damon and Emily Blunt in The Adjustment Bureau. We have Beauty and the Beast for the Twilight crowd, Beastly, which can also be a pilot for a Beauty and the Beast pilot series because it was the CBS film, and we know how their films have gone so far. We do have Take Me Home Tonight, a movie that was clearly not made 4 years ago with Topher Grace and Dan Fogler. Spoiler alert, it was made 4 years ago and was just brought to theaters now. But Kevin Smith has his first horror movie, Red State, coming out. And we have Ted Mosby, Josh Radnor, making his directorial debut with Happy Thank You, More Please. It's March 4th, 2011, and finally, after 2 months, we have more than one good movie to look at today on Time About the Movies.
He is going to die.
I mean, that's a perfect way to sum up that movie. It's like that riff I did yesterday for so much for so little, where the narrator goes like, 118,481 of those 2 million people will die before reaching their first birthday. It's just like, that's the way you hook your audience in there by saying, you're going to die in a certain amount of time. But welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 6 films of March 4th, 2011. And like I said, we actually have more than one good movie. Case in point, our first film, the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, Rango. And in the story of Rango, it's a film where you have this chameleon, voiced by Johnny Depp, who accidentally ends up in the town of Dirt, an outpost that's in desperate need of a new sheriff. And essentially the plot of the movie is your kind of Three Amigos plot where, he's lying and basically he has to become a hero and they're going to find out who he is in real life. They're going to have the breakup and then they got to come back to save the day. And yeah, this movie is pretty much a generic movie in terms of its story, but everything else about it is just so damn good. This is one of my favorite movies Nickelodeon has ever done. This is a movie that is just so well done, and it works because it's unlike any animated movie you've ever seen before. It's a smart, surreal, and fun animated film that doesn't just appeal to the kids like the marketing is trying to do, but adults get a kick out of it. It's the first computer animated film outside of a Pixar movie that I can tell in a while that I've seen that adults, I think, will enjoy more than the kids will. I mean, Depp's given some of his best work as Rango here. I think he's playing it very well here. He's just so good here. You have a great cast that also includes Isla Fisher, Bill Nighy, Abigail Breslin, Alfred Molina, Harry Dean Stanton, Tim Oliphant, Stephen Root, Ned Beatty. Tim Oliphant is playing a character that I was kind of surprised actually kind of worked as well as it did, but he's essentially playing Clint Eastwood for a few dollars more, like in those Sergio Leone spaghetti western type of movies. That's the character he's playing in this, and yeah. It shouldn't work, but goddamn, it actually does work really well here. The visuals overall are really impressive. The motion capture is well done here. They shot all the scenes with the actual actors on a set, and they animated it. I mean, it's weird, because, Robert Zemeckis and his team have been making these motion capture movies like Polar Express and A Christmas Carol, and yet it can't make Marceline Mom look like a better movie than it's going to when we take a look at it in a couple of weeks, but the people who worked on this film got the motion capture technology not just to work, but work really well and seamlessly well. I mean, Gore Verbinski outdid Robert Zemeckis. Think about that. And for an animation debut, just like what Zack Snyder did with Legend of the Guardians not too long ago, this is some of his best work ever. I mean, I'm not a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan, but I think this is up there with some of his best works, if not his best work yet. There is a lot of good stuff in here. A lot of great homages to the great spaghetti westerns of all time. A great action sequence between 2 mountaintops. A scene with Hunter S. Thompson from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like, I can't believe they threw that in there. And they didn't put this out in 3D. That's the thing that really surprised me about this, because I feel like this movie could have played so well in 3D, and yet they didn't do it. And it still looks incredible. And the trailers did a good job of not spoiling a damn thing about this movie. A majority of the stuff they showed in the trailer only happens in either the first half of the movie or very briefly in the final sequences of the film. And that's great. I love the fact that they have this movie where the trailers don't really give much away, and you have to go in to figure out what this movie is all about. Well, like I said, the story isn't the best overall. It's not the most clever one, but this is a movie that just works so well on so many levels. It's unlike any animated film I've ever seen before, and it works on every single level. There's not a point where it lags or gets boring. It works on every single level. I can't recommend this one enough. You can see why this one won Best Animated Feature, because when you see the rest of the animated films that come out in 2011, this one easily took the cake for the Best Animated Film of the year. Like, in a year where Pixar had their worst movie, where Warner Brothers had Happy Feet 2, which was definitely a major step down compared to the previous film. I mean, this is a good movie that really, really deserved to win this Oscar. I mean, it is the best of the best. I can't recommend this one enough. Rango, if you have not seen it, seek this movie out. So yeah, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that's Matt Damon and Emily Blunt in the sci-fi thriller, The Adjustment Bureau.
The Adjustment Bureau, with PG-13.
Here we come back to, not bad, but not great either in terms of a film. This is The Adjustment Bureau, written and directed by George Nolfi, who's making his directorial debut after writing not a good assortment of movies, Timeline, Ocean's 12, but he did follow up with, his last thing he did was The Bourne Ultimatum, so he did get better, essentially. And he's reteaming with Matt Damon again, who plays an ambitious young congressman who finds himself entranced by a beautiful black ballerina played by Emily Blunt. But mysterious forces are conspiring to prevent their love affair, including characters played by John Slattery, Michael Kelly, and Terrence Stamp, called The Adjustment Bureau. And it's based off of a Philip K. Dick novel, and like I said, the movie isn't bad per se. It just doesn't really wow me like most people I think are going to want to go into this movie thinking it's going to do. Like, I watched the movie and I was just like, okay, where's that moment that I'm supposed to be like, wow, this is amazing? And I never really got that from this movie. It just kind of felt like the pieces were there for something good, but it never reaches that nth level to where the film should be really delivering on the promises that it's giving you. And it just doesn't show in this movie, unfortunately. The performances are good. I think everybody in here plays their parts very well. You do buy into the chemistry between Matt Damon and Emily Blunt, and you do see the threat of this Adjustment Bureau with Anthony Mackie, John Slattery, and Terrence Stamp in there. I think I said Michael Kelly was one of the guys in there, but I think he's actually the Matt Damon's boss or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but from what I remember from it, it's a film that almost gets to that level where it's just like, okay, this may be one of the best, this may be another great movie for this weekend, but it never reaches that point. It's not a bad movie. It's just one of these sci-fi films where you can tell that there's something great here going on, and it never reaches that potential that it should. It's a shame, man, because, like I said, it's not a bad movie, but it definitely is a film that should have been so much better than it actually was. At least, in my opinion, it was. But, you know what? I'll gladly take this movie over the next couple of movies we've got here, because here comes the crap once again, continuing to prove that 2011 has not been the strongest year for movies. Here's Alex Pettyfer coming off of I Am Number 4, and Vanessa Hudgens. Also, Mary-Kate Olsen. Is it Mary-Kate Olsen or Ashley? I think it's Mary-Kate in Beastly.
Rated PG-13 in theaters March 4th.
Yeah, clearly he's that ugly that no girl would ever want to bang him. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. Plus, like I said before, it's a twofer for this company because it's a CBS Films film, and you know what CBS also made? Beauty and the Beast, that show with Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman back in the 1980s, which surprisingly is actually really good. It doesn't do what the Disney movie does. It brings Beauty and the Beast into a modern setting, and you do buy the chemistry between Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman as the Beast. It's a show you might want to check out. It doesn't get as much attention as it does, but I was actually kind of surprised how much I enjoyed it. And of course, not too long after this, the CW would actually reboot that show and do it much better than this movie did, which is a mix of Beauty and the Beast, the 80s show, with Twilight, because it's Twilight times, and we gotta copy that formula. And yeah, here's your plot right here. At the Buxton's Academy High School, the wealthy, arrogant, narcissistic, and bigoted Kyle Kingston is a student who does not respect his classmates. When Kyle's elected representative of the students, he plays a prank on the outcast Kendra, played by Mary-Kate Olsen in what would be her final film role, who has a reputation as a witch. He invites her to a party and humiliates her in front of their classmates. However, Kendra curses him with a spell that makes Kyle as ugly as his soul. Further, she tells him that if he does not find anyone who loves him within a year, he will be doomed to that appearance forever. Yeah, all he has to do is show him the money and to show him the fact that he's very wealthy, and women will come to him. I mean, this really is not that big of a deal. When Kyle's father, Rob Kingston, played by Peter Krause of 6 Feet Under fame, thought it was Neil Patrick Harris for a second because he is in here, sees him. He takes Kyle to specialist, but the doctors don't know what to do. So Rob hides Kyle in an apartment with a maid and a blind tutor. When Kyle sees his mate Lindy on the street, played by Vanessa Hudgens, he saves her from a dangerous drug dealer and he brings her to his apartment to protect her. Now his only hope is that Lindy will fall in love with him. And yeah, you could pretty much see in that premise what the problems with this movie is. This is literally Twilight meets Beauty and the Beast, and not in a good way. There's too good of a cast in this movie to really make this thing what they want to do here. And it's not just the people I mentioned. Neil Patrick Harris is the blind guy in here. He's good in here. Lisa Gay Hamilton, a decent actress. Dakota Johnson, like, people always give her a bad rap because she was in the 50 Shades movies, but she is more than a good actress. I mean, I've seen it in so many other things, like that show Ben and Kate she did with who was it? Nate Faxon, I think it was. It was either Nate Faxon or who else? I gotta see here. I know this is dead air stuff, but where is it? Come on. It's so bad that here it is. Ben and Kate is what it's called. Yeah, Nate Faxon was in it. It was a good show on Fox, but it sadly got cut after one season, and I say sadly because Fox had a good comedy lineup back in the day with that show, The Mindy Project, New Girl. The only one that was really not that great was Raising Hope, which I know a lot of people like that show. I was never a fan. I like My Name is Earl, which is made by the same people who made that show and Yes Dear, but yeah, that show just wasn't for me. But my point here is that there's too good of a cast in here for this film to be this terrible, and it is a terrible movie. It is literally Twilight meets Beauty and the Beast, and not even in a good way. They make it seem like first of all, you can't buy into the fact that this guy looks that ugly that no girl would ever want to bang him. Like I said, all he needs to do is show him the money, like show him the fact that he's got millions of dollars, and they'll be just like, oh, here's my panties, let's go bang, like that type of thing. It's just like, yeah, if there was a hook to that, maybe you could make it work, but no. All this is just a bad mix of Twilight meets the 80s Beauty and the Beast, and it just doesn't work very well at all. Now, the 2012 CW show I was just talking about is a far better adaptation of Beauty and the Beast than this pile of garbage was, because this was a pile of garbage. And don't worry, folks, because we're not done with the Twilight knockoffs in March of 2011, because we've got another one 2 weeks from now with Red Riding Hood. Or maybe next week. I don't know. Maybe, hey, we'll find out at the end of the show whether it's coming out. But it's coming out between this week, or is the next week, or the week after that. But yeah, we're not done with these knockoffs just yet, and we've got plenty more to come in the future, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Beastly, yeah, the only thing that's ugly is this fucking movie, man. Avoid this one like the plague. So, hey, here's some more crap for you. Take Me Home Tonight.
Take Me Home Tonight. Rated R. In theaters March 4th.
Yeah, Take Me Home Tonight. Yeah, I'll take it home and then I throw it into the dumpster like a prom night dumpster baby. Hey, if it has the same voice of Seth MacFarlane, that might actually be worth something. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the Family Guy joke about that. But Take Me Home Tonight. This is a movie that, as I said before, was shot back in 2007 and didn't get a full release until 2011. And you can tell because Dan Fogler is in this movie, and they were making a big deal about him becoming the next big star around that time, and needless to say, that didn't work. Plus, you can look at people like Chris Pratt and Anna Faris, and definitely look at where they were in 2007 to where they were at that point in 2011, and to clearly realize that, yeah, this movie was not made in the last year. But, this is hey, it also helps that you have the writers of That 70s Show, and, Kelso was in the movie. Was it Kelso that Topher Grace played? Eric Foreman. I haven't seen That 70s Show in a while, but the people who did write for That 70s Show wrote for this movie, and Topher Grace stars as this recent college graduate who wants to change his career plans after his old high school crush, played by Teresa Palmer, invites him to a party. And chaos and hilarity ensues, and don't let the title fool you, because that song, Take Me Home Tonight by Eddie Money, is nowhere in this movie, even though it's all over the trailers and on the Blu-ray and DVD. It never appears in the film, so why the fuck is it even called Take Me Home Tonight? But, yeah, this movie sucks. This was a type of film that you could tell, like I said, it was shot several years ago, and it actually was supposed to be released by Universal, but then it didn't. But then they decided to drop it, and the film essentially was later moved over to Relative Media's Rogue Pictures, which was eventually sold off from Universal to 20th Century Fox. So this has gone through different studios, and it has not gotten better over time. It's basically just a knockoff Hot Tub Time Machine, even though this was made 4 years before Hot Tub Time Machine was even a thing. Like, that's how bad this movie was. It wasn't funny. It wasn't clever. It's a lazy film. It just doesn't work overall. It's a really lackluster comedy that has nothing of value whatsoever. It's a terrible movie. It's the type of film that probably should have been dumped in January, but no. Rogue Pictures really thought this was going to be the big comedy hit of the year. Hey, we saw what happened with Hot Tub Time Machine a year ago. Clearly we're going to find success here, and no. No, you're not. There is good news, though. This director, Michael Dowse, did go on to make some good movies. His next film, which came out the same year, was a much better movie. Sean William Scott and Jay Baruchel in the hockey comedy Goon. And this is the guy that recently just did 8-Bit Christmas, which is one of the best new Christmas classics that we've had. Maybe the best Christmas film of the last decade, of this decade of the 2020s. And we'll certainly get to those later on down the road. But this film, yeah, not so much. You can avoid this one like the plague. So let's get back to some, maybe not good movies, but certainly some intriguing films. Kevin Smith taking on a horror film this time around with his newest film, Red State.
I see the face of Jesus on my way this night. In my sleep.
So in the movie Red State, you have this teenager named Jared who invites his best friends Travis and Billy Ray to have a foursome with a 38-year-old woman. While driving to meet the woman, Travis hits a car parked on the road, and when they meet the woman, she gives spiked beer to them and they pass out. When the three friends wake up, they find that they are trapped in the fundamentalist Five Points Trinity Church of the infamous Pastor Avon Cooper, and that they will be killed. Meanwhile, the church is under siege by ATF agents led by Agent Joseph Keenan that has been ordered to destroy the terrorist cell. Will the teenagers be saved by the agents or the law enforcement agency, or is there something more going on? Now, this film was controversial at the time because what had happened was that, Kevin Smith was going to auction off the rights to this film immediately at the Sundance Film Festival, but he instead decided that he was going to self-distribute the film himself under Smodcast Pictures with a traveling show in selected cities. So kind of similar to what Francis Ford Coppola is doing right now with Megalopolis, which, needless to say, this is a much better movie than Megalopolis was. And this film was a film that was very interesting. Unlike the last thing that Kevin Smith did, which was Cop Out, which was just a complete fucking mess of a movie, this film, it's an interesting film. It's an intriguing film. It's a film I'll give him credit for tackling a genre that's not really up to his norm. I'm not going to say it's the greatest movie ever of his, but it is an intriguing film nonetheless. It does feel like a film where you could tell that he was trying to do something very unique and different with it. Kind of like a film version, kind of like the closest thing we'll get to a film biopic about Waco in 1993, the ambush there. And I give him credit for what credit's due. I think it is a solidly made film, a competently made film, a film that is definitely going to polarize a lot of people when they see it. It's definitely something unique and different from Kevin Smith overall. I think everybody in here plays their parts very well. John Goodman, I think, is very good in here playing the special agent. Yeah, Melissa Leo, Michael Parks, Kyle Gallner, who's gone on to star in movies like Smile, Carrie Bishy from Scrubs, Stephen Root, Michael Angario. Funny fact, though, Ben Affleck actually liked this movie so much that he actually got a couple of people from the film to be in Argo, which later came out the following year. And hey, if it wasn't for this movie, I don't think he would have casted him in there. I mean, he probably would have, but I mean, overall, yeah, it's definitely a film that's going to be very much questioned by a lot of people. It's going to be a very polarizing film, but I, for one, really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually really good for what he was trying to accomplish here. I don't think it's fantastic work, but it certainly is a lot better than I think people would have let on. I think it's a film that definitely shows a lot more effort into it, being put into for Kevin Smith, of all people, who's been mostly known for the comedies that he's done. And considering his last couple of films have been mostly mainstream films, it's nice to see him go back into something very indie-esque, and something that clearly was made with his own money. He put a lot of effort into this on his own merits, and I think he made it work for what it was. It's a very polarizing film, but I kind of enjoyed it. I think it's a film that's definitely very much a film that's going to be very much polarized by a lot of people. Not many people are going to love it, but I, for one, kind of enjoyed it. Not a great film, but I think it's going to be better than most people would make you believe it is. So that's Red State. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Happy, Thank You, More Please. Who knew Ted Mosby could be a solid director? I mean, this is probably not his best of his two movies that he did, because sadly he's only done two movies, but he certainly left on a high note with his next film he did, Liberal Arts, and we'll get to that one later on. But this movie is essentially, you got a story of a group of young New Yorkers struggling to balance love, friendship, and their encroaching adulthood. As you see in the trailer, Malin Ackerman's got cancer. Josh Radnor's trying to get with Kate Mara. You have Zoe Kazan in here, Paula Scribner, Tony Hale. A solid cast overall in here, and you could definitely tell Josh Radnor's trying to channel his inner Woody Allen with this movie, and I think it works enough. I don't think it's a fantastic film, but it's definitely a film that should be checked out to see what this guy can do as a director, because he's made 2 movies, and I think his second film is definitely a lot better, but this one is a really solidly made film. It's a film I was actually really surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did. I think it's a very entertaining movie that works with the cast that it has to work with. It has flaws to it, mostly that not every story in the movie is that intriguing. The characters themselves, they're interesting enough, but their story isn't really well thought out as much as other stories in particular. I think more time would have been nicely put together for like the Malin Ackerman storyline about her dealing with the cancer and all that, and Josh Radnor as Kate Mara blending having that chemistry together. I don't really think is fully there per se, but it's not that the film isn't bad by any means necessary. It's a film that's definitely trying, and it's a film that I think does work well enough to recommend. I think it's a very solid film, and it should give you kind of a prelude to the film that I think he does the next year, which is the far better film in liberal arts, which I think is a much better movie in general. We'll take a look at that one in 2012, but Happy Thank You More Please is one I highly recommend checking out. It's a solidly made film. Not everything about it works, but as it is, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. See, there we go. We finally got a good week with more than just one good movie. Hopefully the next week we actually get to see some good films. Let's take a look at what we got here. Oh, we've got Battle Los Angeles. Not to the best start of it, but Red Riding Hood, that movie I was just talking about after Beastly, where it's another Twilight knockoff, except this time it's Little Red Riding Hood. It's directed by the director of Twilight, and it stars Amanda Seyfried. Okay, I mean, it certainly can't get any worse from here. Oh, Mars Needs Moms. The movie I just talked about being a bad motion capture movie, and the thing that literally killed Robert Zemeckis' motion capture company. So, yeah, I guess this week was kind of a rarity of the way that the year is starting off, because, yeah, we're going to have a really, really bad time with these 3 movies coming up on the next episode. Battle Los Angeles, Red Riding Hood, and Mars Needs Moms. That's like the trilogy of the movies that you would watch before you got sentenced to death in the electric chair. Just like, okay, I want to die right now after watching these movies. That's how bad these movies are that we're going to talk about here. So, yay, the year is really, really sucking, and at least this week we got a little bit of a brief reprieve, but it seems like we're going back to the crap next week. So we'll take a look at them tomorrow. We'll get through this together. We will get through this together, my friends. But thank you so much for watching this, and if you do enjoy this and want to see more videos like this, if you find this any bit of entertainment, I think, I can't even talk right now. If you find any of this, the slightest of entertaining, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And also, if you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. And also don't forget to check out our playlist and check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.